Hello, friends. Hope you are well. Welcome back to another podcast. Now, you're going to hear me slurping a little bit in this one because I'm having my breakfast smoothie at the moment. Usually I have my coffee, but it's after 10 a.m. and I've set myself a rule. I think I've told you guys in another podcast. No coffee after 10 a.m. And I'm being a good boy and behaving. But I'm still going to be slurping. Listen to this. A thick smoothie, right? Now, this is going to sound fucked, but I'm telling you, don't knock it till you try it. For my smoothie, for those of you who didn't ask, I'm going to tell you anyways, right? 250 mils of coconut water, 150 grams of banana, 1.5 scoops of chocolate protein powder, 5 ice cubes of ice, right? That's all it is. Quite simple. For some reason, coconut water on its own tastes like shit, right? Protein powder with water, it's good, it's tolerable, but it's not amazing. You know, you'd rather have it with milk or something, or almond milk. But with coconut water, surprisingly decent. Chuck in some banana in there, chocolatey flavor, fucking delicious. Delicious. So, if it's something you want to try out, give it a go. And the ice cubes actually make it quite thick, which is good. I don't think a lot of people realize that. When you chuck more ice in the blender, it turns it into like a thicker, I was going to say context, but that's not the word. A thicker, you guys know the word I'm trying to think of, right? I hope so, because I can't think of that word. Texture, context, texture. It's close. Think of texture. So I just like to kind of have a little bit thicker with 2 C's, you know what I'm saying? So today we're going to be talking about training more than not working out, not nutrition talks, not mindset, training, you know? Tyson the trainer is going to talk about fucking training. And it's funny because, you know, didn't obviously think about my Instagram name when I first made it, and I was a PT back when I first made it, right, Tyson the Trainer. And now I talk so much about nutrition, and while training still is an important part, people just underestimate how important nutrition side of thing is. And it's like, oh yeah, like, you know, training's still a bigger part of what I do. Like I do coach people for training and stuff like that, but I just don't talk about it as much. And I think there's a lot of kind of misconceptions out there that I want to talk about training today, and also just like talk to you guys a little bit about evidence, because the amount of shit that I see on Instagram when it comes to training programs and execution and stuff like that, it actually fucking blows me away. Just because like it's like people try, not people like, you know, coaches is what I'm trying to say, sorry. It's like they try to not keep up with the research because there's so much fucking information out there. And we all have access to research now. You know, the internet has made it easier. Social media has made it easier to follow the people who are doing not even like the researchers, but also people putting it into practice, you know. It used to just be, you know, you get science from the lab and those people wouldn't be doing the actual work. But now there are people who, you know, have their PhDs and doing research, but also actually they are trainers too, or coaches, which is good because, you know, theory is one thing, application is another thing. Someone who can apply the theory correctly and know that it actually works in the real world is the best thing, because we can, you know, there's research out there that will show, oh, you should be doing X, Y, and Z, but it's like, you know, telling people that like the optimal way to do this, yes, it may be optimal, but in a real world setting, it's probably not practical, you know, and that's why people will try and explain, oh, you know, you got to do this optimally, you got to do this, got to do this. But it's like, you know, for a normal person who works a fucking, you know, 8 to 10 hour job, they're always hot, you know, overworked, they're trying to get into the gym. Me trying to make them be optimal isn't practical at the end of the day. And this is why we have to be able to also delineate between the two and know what's going to be most beneficial for clients, yourselves, right? So that was a little bit of a tangent, but in saying that, we're going to be talking about training and just some fucking, I just want to help clear some information up for you guys in regards to just understanding training better. And so when you look at people training, you can actually pick out whether they're doing fucking stupid things and if their program is bunk or not. Sound like a plan? Let me have a slip of this delicious Slurpee, and let's get into it. Okay, so first and foremost, let's talk about training itself. Now, I know I've covered this on another podcast, but I just want to talk about it here again. The whole high carb day, low carb day, you need more calories in the days you're training versus your calories you're not training. This is a stupid fucking idea, okay? Let me explain to you guys why. This is why I love math, right? Math was my best subject in high school, in case you wanted to know. I'm going to tell you. Math was my best subject in high school. I was top of the grade in math. I was the only person, this is me fucking bragging, you know, sucking myself off. I was the only person in high school in grade 10, before I dropped out, to actually get 100% in this one math, what's it called? Exam out of the whole school. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm so fucking good. You know, I thought I was great. And then turns out I just, you know, fell into the wrong people and dropped out of school. But anyway, I was good at math. So there you go. Now, I like math, which is why it's cool when I can learn things through math and I can explain to you guys simply and just shows, you know, math, science, all these things that are like tangible, or I guess, what's it called? STEMs. So like science, technology, I don't know what E stands for, math. Basically, like, I guess, facts. What, I don't even know what that stands for. But do you know what I'm talking about? I hope you guys do. Like, I know I'm rambling here. Basically, let me just tell you. Sorry, I'm getting off tangent. So, working out, right? High days, low days, all these type of things. I just want to give you guys a bit of an idea about why this is incorrect and how we can use math to figure out this is incorrect. In you thinking you need more calories than you probably do for a workout training session, or more carbohydrates in general, okay? So, let's say you have 6 exercises that you do in a workout program. Let's say 7. Let's just say 7, okay? You do 7 exercises in a workout program on Monday, okay? And you do 3 sets for each exercise. So that's 21 sets in total, right? 3 times 7, 21, okay? Now, every set you do is not going to take you more than 1 minute for the entire set, right? You do a set of squats, you do a set of leg curls, you do a set of bicep curls, you do a set of bench press, whatever it's going to be. You do a set of 10 to 12, right? Let's even say 15 reps. It doesn't take you more than a minute to do that exercise unless you're doing tempo work. But let's say that you're not doing tempo work. You know, you're controlling the movement, you're obviously not rushing it, but you're just doing a set of 12 on the bench press, all right? It's going to take you 45 seconds. We're going to say a minute for this side of things. Every exercise takes you a minute, every set. You've done 21 minutes of work in that entire workout. You're there for 60 to 80 minutes, but you've only done 21 sets. And each set is roughly going to take you a minute. That's only a minute of work each set, which is 21 minutes in total, working out, right? What are you doing in the meantime? You sit down, you fuck around on your phone. You might go get some steps in and stuff like that. Might pace around a little bit. Then you go to your next warm-up set, you do that. You know, like for your next exercise, you'll warm up a little bit, do 1 or 2 warm-up sets, then go into your working set. But you're not doing more than 21 minutes of actual work, right? And then when we look at our heart rate with how that goes, your heart rate's probably not going to go above 145, you know, unless you're pushing it really hard. Like if you're someone who does, Anita Baz is fucking perfect with this example. I put a heart rate strap on her. I'm not going to be surprised she's pushing up like 170 beats per minute. And she's quite light and lower body weight. So for her to get to 170 beats, that's fucking quite high, okay? So let's say you do push it very hard and in your set, you get up to like 160 beats per minute, right? 21 minutes of that with your heart rate going up during the set. So it won't start at 160. It'll climb up and then it'll come back down when you finish your set. So your heart rate goes up and down, up and down, up and down. So it's not constantly elevated, okay? How many calories do you think you will burn in 21 minutes of resistance training? The answer is not fucking very much at all, okay? If you were to burn purely carbohydrates in 21 minutes, right? Let's say you burned, well, you're not going to burn more than 10 calories a minute, maybe like 12. Let's say 10 calories a minute. So you burn 250 calories for that whole session, okay? If that was all carbohydrates being burned in the session, which it's not, if it was, we know 1 gram of carbohydrate. I know this might be a bit confusing. I'm going to simplify this all for you guys in a second. 1 gram of carbohydrate is 4 calories, okay? So if you're burning, let's say, 250 calories, basically you're burning like 60 grams of carbs, right? Through that whole workout. 60 grams of carbs. It's fuck all in the grand scheme of things, okay? The way we got to 60 grams of carbs is 240 divided by 4 is 6, right? Carry a 0 for the 10, 60 grams of carbohydrates, all right? 60 grams of carbohydrates, and our muscle glycogen can hold a lot more than 60 grams of carbohydrates, okay? So people are like, oh, you have to have more carbohydrates on that workout day. All right, well, here's the thing. Let's say you burn those carbohydrates off, 60 grams. Then for the rest of the day, you're replenishing those carbohydrates with the food you eat. And I assume that you eat more than 60 grams of carbs a day. I assume most of you eat over 100 grams of carbs a day, okay? Well, I'd fucking hope so. So over the day, you're replenishing that carbohydrates. And then the next time you go into a workout session, which is the next day, you're going to have topped up carbohydrates in your muscles and your liver, okay? So this whole concept of thinking you need more fucking carbohydrates on a workout day is stupid because we don't, right? Secondly, we're going to replenish that carbohydrates anyways. So thinking that you're going to need more is also wrong. Thirdly, where did I lose my train of thoughts was there? Thirdly, carbohydrates. Now fucking carbohydrates with that. God damn it, I lost my train of thought. But you guys know what I'm saying here? Like, you know, you're not burning that many calories. Again, you burn 250 calories, okay? Working out for 21 minutes. You can, like, that amount of calories being burned is a lot less than you probably think you are burning, firstly. Secondly, on the days you're not training, right? If you went for a walk for an hour versus train for an hour, you'd probably burn the same amount, even more calories walking than you would training, okay? That's a big difference. And people think that they're burning all these extra calories working out. The truth of the fucking matter is we're not, you know? Let's say you're doing 30 sets in a workout, which you definitely shouldn't be, because 30 sets is fucking pissing in the wind, which we'll talk about soon. Let's say you're doing 30 sets. That's 30 minutes of working out. Again, let's say you burn 12 calories a minute. So you burn 400 calories in that workout session, right? That's 100 grams of carbohydrates. Guess what? You hold more than 100 grams of carbohydrates in your muscles and your liver combined. Sorry, I shouldn't say just in your liver. Like in your muscles and your liver combined. You eat some carbohydrates, they're going to come back, right? So this whole higher carb day, lower carb day is not applicable to anyone who just does regular weight training or does bodybuilding weight training. If you want to be like, oh, I'm not a regular weight trainer, I do bodybuilding. Okay, great, you're a fucking bodybuilder, whatever. Or if you do powerlifting or you do Olympic lifting, you just don't burn that many calories with weight training, you know? The practical implications that you would want to be thinking about higher calorie days versus lower calorie days is if you're an endurance person, if you're an endurance athlete or a sport athlete, you know, an actual sport. Bodybuilding's not a sport. Don't fucking at me. Don't complain. Don't have a cry. You don't have to agree with me, but it's fucking true, you know. You lift weights and you eat food, like, fuck, man. It's not a performance sport at all. It's who can starve themselves the longest. Anyways, I'm digressing. But what I'm saying here, anyone who does a field sport, you know, AFL, NRL, soccer, any endurance sport, cycling, swimming, triathletes, marathon running, any of those things, these people burn significantly more calories on training days than non-training days. These people burn significantly more glycogen and carbohydrates on training days versus non-training days. Those are the people who could benefit from having higher calorie days and lower calorie days, you know? Because again, someone's running 24 Ks casually on a fucking Monday and then not doing anything on a Tuesday, you know, 24 kilometers. So let's say it takes you an hour 50. Let's say 2 hours. Half marathon, 2 hours. Is that 24 Ks? No, it's not. But let's just say 24 Ks. And it takes you, you know, you're running 5-minute Ks, right? So in an hour, that's, 12 Ks. And then so let's say you're doing 2 hours of running. 2 hours of continuous running. You're going to be burning over 1,000, you're going to be burning over like 1,400 calories during that time, right? That's an actual difference. 1,400 calories difference, you know? Cardiovascular exercise will burn more calories no matter what because you can elevate your heart rate and you keep your heart rate elevated for longer. CrossFit will burn more calories. F45 will burn more calories. Anything that's increasing your heart rate continuously will burn more calories, okay? So thinking you need high days or low days, you don't, firstly. Secondly, you're not, like me, I want to continue on this calorie talk. We're not weight training to burn calories, all right? We need to change our thinking with what our intents are for when it comes to weight training. Let me have a sip of this. So with weight training, right? People think, oh, my Apple Watch tells me I burn this many calories. Or, oh, how do I increase my calorie burn when I'm training with weights? We're not trying to fucking burn calories training with weights. The goal of weight training is to build muscle, is to maintain muscle, is to increase your strength, is to increase your like muscular strength and bone strength, is to help with your stability and stabilization overall, is to help prevent injuries, is to help support your sport overall. Like there's so many benefits that weight training offers, and calorie burning is not one of them. All right? You are not in the gym with weight training to burn calories. So get that idea out of your head. Okay? We're not. If you want to burn calories, go and do cardio, right? If you want to burn calories, think about the rest of your day. Do not think about burning calories in the gym. This is why you should be resting 2 to 3 minutes between your sets. Okay? If you're like, "Oh, but I can go faster. Like I can rest faster," increase the weight. You're obviously not pushing hard enough. The goal of weight training is to get stronger. The goal of weight training is to build muscle mass. The goal of weight training is to progressively overload and strengthen your bones. Right? That's what weight training is for. It's not for burning calories. Now, in saying this, don't be like, "Oh, well, maybe I should just do cardio to lose weight." No, 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 no. If you just do cardio to lose weight, you're not going to have that tone defined muscle look because you're not going to build muscle. You don't build muscle doing cardio, right? You're not seeing marathon runners being fucking jacked out of their mind. You don't see sprinters be jacked out of their mind. They don't build muscle, you know? You do see sprinters who are muscly, right? Guess what? It's because of the fucking gym. It's not because of the cardiovascular exercise. There's no resistance with cardiovascular exercise that is like resistance on the muscle, right? When you're running, the only resistance you have is gravity and your weight. And like, if you go up a hill and things like that. But there's no load being put on you that's going to hypertrophy your muscles, okay? That's why we don't see cyclists, again, we see cyclists with big legs because there are resistance there, but we don't see them jacked overall, do we? No, right? So cardio can be beneficial for your cardiovascular health and for burning calories, but if you want to have the tone defined look and you want to have muscle mass, then you have to train with weights, okay? So we think about weights are there for gaining muscle, for bone strength, for overall muscular strength, for stability, for everything else that's not to burn calories, okay? If you want to focus on burning calories, you think about the other things. You think about cardio and you think about the rest of your day, okay? So firstly, do you have to do cardio? No, right? What I always say to people, if you enjoy cardio and you can add it in, all right? Because it can help with extra calorie burning overall. But here's an easier thing to think about when it comes to wanting to increase your calorie burning. Increase your daily activity. That's where calorie burning comes from. Think about, you're awake for 16, let's say 17 hours, right? Because most of you who are listening don't fucking sleep 8 hours. Some of you do, most of you don't. How do I know? Because the amount of times that I see people posting up their sleep and stuff like that, and I see 6 hours 50, 6 hours 35, 6 hours, and I'm like, fuck me dead, man. If I got 6 hours, I'd be crying. Even if you get 7 hours, right? Let's say 7.5 hours. You have 16.5 hours awake or 17 hours awake. So I'm going to say here, you have 16.5 hours to 17 hours a day, right? Let's say you go to the gym for an hour. You now have 15 hours for the rest of your day to focus on calorie burning. How much calories can you burn in an hour of weight training? Like I just said, fuck all, right? So instead, think about what can you do for the rest of the day? How can you increase your overall calorie expenditure through your movement? Because steps are very underrated for increasing your calorie expenditure. Now, is it going to increase your calorie expenditure a huge amount? Well, it depends. If you're doing 2,000 steps a day and you get to 10,000 steps a day, an extra 8,000 fucking steps is definitely going to help. You know, if you get from 10,000 a day to 12,000 a day, it's not going to be a huge amount of difference. If you get from 10,000 a day to 16,000 a day, yeah, you're going to burn a couple extra 100 calories, right? So if we think about that, those 15 hours across our day, how do we increase our overall daily activity? And what I talk about with my clients is to be like, hey, where can you find 10 minutes throughout your day to do walks? Because roughly every 10 minutes of walking, you get 1,000 steps in, right? So if you think about your overall day, do you have 10 minutes of walking when you're on a meeting with someone? Can you do 10 minutes of walking on your lunch break? Can you do more than 10 minutes of walking on your lunch break? If the bus is coming and the bus is going to be 15 minutes, can you walk 10 minutes to the next bus stop? You know, think about where you can add all these little 10-minute things in, because it might not seem like much, but if you find 5 10-minute breaks a day, that's 5,000 steps extra you got. And if you're someone who's quite sedentary, you're doing 2,000 steps a day and you can get to 7,000 or 10,000, that's going to help increase your calorie burn, right? So think about your overall daily movement. One thing I do when I'm waiting for the train, and I don't give a fuck who looks at me, I just walk up and down the platform while I'm waiting for the train, you know? I'll fuck around on Facebook, or I'll listen on Instagram, or I'll listen to an audiobook, and I just pace up and down. Like, what am I going to wait 16 minutes for a train for, sitting on my ass doing nothing? Or I can walk to the next train station, you know? It's about changing our behaviors overall to be more active throughout the day, which will help increase your calorie burn. So think about that for yourself. How can you increase your overall activity versus how can I try and burn so many calories in the gym, right? So I hope that makes sense. Now let's go back to the weight training side of things, okay? So talked about weight training is not for calorie burning. We're trying to focus on making sure that we're going there to build muscle. Now, for those of you who want to build muscle, all right? Pardon me. People try and throw the kitchen fucking sink at their workout program. They think they need to do 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 or 12 different exercises for a muscle group in order to get progress, or to make progress, to make progress. And it's like a trend on Instagram at the moment, especially with comp preppers, bodybuilders, like, you know, males and females. You see 5 days of training glutes, right? Or you see for a male, it's like 5 days of training fucking chest and shoulders. If you want to increase your chances of injury, increase your chances of overall fatigue, increase your fucking time wasted in the gym, go and train muscle groups every single day, right? It's a stupid fucking idea. We have research, very, very clear research showing between 13 to 25 sets per muscle group per week is optimal for muscle growth, okay? 13 to 25 sets. That's quite a bit of a range there. So what you should actually try and do when you think about this is not, oh, I've got to go to 25 sets to build muscle. Can you build muscle on 13 sets? Because if you can get away with doing less, it's better for you to build muscle. I don't, like, you know, we have this, this tendency, be the hardest worker in the room. You got to hustle, you got to grind, you know, all this shit we see all the time, people posting up all this shit about that. And it's like, why not just be a little bit fucking smarter? Because at the end of the day, I hope that you're like me and you're in this for longevity. You're not working out for the next fucking 5 years and that's it. And you're like, oh, well, that's it. I'm not working out. Like, I plan to work out until I'm 80 plus, you know? Just because, like, I enjoy working out. It's not like I'm going to be fucking showing up and squatting heavy and shit all the time. But, like, working out's just something I enjoy. I like to push myself a little bit and get a little bit of a muscle burn, you know? And for longevity purposes, we don't want to be killing ourselves in the gym all the time. We don't want to be constantly pushing ourselves more than we have to in order for us to think we need to get a result, because that's just going to fucking, like, again, long-term focus. Everyone's so short-term focused at the moment. And it's like, do you want to be in this long-term or not? Or do you want to be fucking having aches and pains and injuries and shit when you get older? Because it's going to happen, you know? So research shows between 13 and 25 sets per muscle group. So let me just give you guys an idea, right? And then, and let me say on top of that, 3 exercises per muscle group per workout. 3, not 4, not 6, not fucking 10, 3, all right? So for those of you who are doing, I'm going to give you a female example first. A female, right? You're training glutes 4 times a week, all right? Each glute exercise, each program, you're having 4 different glute exercises. So you've got 16, if there's even 16, glute exercises a week. If you're only doing 1 set of those exercises, of each exercise, that's already 16 sets to promote glute growth, right? But most of you will be doing 3, 4, 5 sets, okay? So if 2 sets for each exercise, and you were doing 4 exercises, that's 32 sets. You've already exceeded the maximum amount of volume you need for growth. So any extra volume you do is just a fucking waste of time. right? It's honestly, it's a waste of fucking time. It's pointless. And all you're doing is causing fatigue. It's called generalized fatigue, right? You're just making a muscle sore for the fucking sake of making a muscle sore. You're then increasing your chances of injury being higher because you're just overdoing a muscle and a movement, okay? So if you want to grow your glutes, you should do it, train your glutes 2 to 3 times a week, right? Let's say 3 times a week. Choose 2 exercises per workout. 2, 4, 6. That's 6 exercises, okay? You have 3 sets of each exercise. That's 18 sets already. Okay? Does that make sense? If you get up to 4 sets, that's 24 sets, right? So, do you know what I'm saying here? So there's 2, 4, 6 exercises. 4 sets for each. 4 times 6 is 24 sets. You're basically hitting that maximum muscle growth potential right there. And that's it. And so when, like, I have female clients, oh, I think I need more glute exercises. No, you fucking don't, right? And it's funny because it's like a client tells me, I think I need more. And it's like, oh yeah, okay, so you've come to me for help, but you know what you want. But you think you know. And the only reason they think they need more is because what they see on Instagram, because people are doing fucking 5, 7 sets and shit like that. And it's like, what a waste. What an actual fucking waste. And this is all it does. People just try and keep adding more and more and more volume. But the thing is, like, if you guys think about a hill, it's going up, you know, right? Like, just think about an incline or an XY chart, all right? If we have an XY chart. And we have, like, sets across the bottom, and we have muscle growth going up. I can't remember what the fucking the X and the Y are, right? So the upwards one is like muscle growth, and the horizontal one is volume. Okay, so it's like 13 sets a week is like here, and then 14 sets a week is a little bit more, and then 15 sets a week might be more. All right, but after 23 to 25 sets a week, it doesn't just keep going up like in a linear fashion. Like every extra set you do is more gains. It actually has like a fucking falling off effect where you just stop basically, and you're just adding more and more and more and more and more for the sake of adding more, but there's no extra growth. So it's a very wasteful thing that people do. Okay, pardon me. And so you should try and get away with the least amount of possible to grow. And the reason most people don't grow, one, they're not actually in a calorie surplus to grow. Like, do you understand what growth means? Grow to get bigger, right? To get bigger, you need more food. You need to grow as a human. Like, how does a 70 kilo person grow if they stay 70 kilos? Muscle is more dense than fat. If you go and look at a comparison chart from fat versus muscle and a kilo of fat versus a kilo of muscle, you'll see how much smaller and denser muscle is. So if you want to grow muscle, how do you think your glutes are going to look bigger if you're staying the same weight? And let's say you are gaining muscle in your glutes, you do not get bigger. They will get smaller technically. They'll get more firm, more toned, more defined, but they're not going to get bigger because you're not increasing your size, right? So firstly, it's fucking not being in a surplus why people don't grow. Secondly, it's the stimulus, okay? Because people think they need more sets to grow, but it's because they're not fucking activating the muscles properly. Like when you do an exercise, can you feel it in the muscle you are working, all right? When you do hip thrust, do your glutes fucking burn? When you do kickbacks, do your glutes burn? When you do Romanian deadlifts, do your hamstrings fucking stretch and burn? Right? We need to feel it in the muscle, okay? Have you heard of that mind-muscle connection? Focusing on where you feel it is a good thing. And so if you don't, fix your form and technique first. And that's like what I say to clients. Sometimes I bring, like they get upset because I talk about progressive overload. And then I give them a lighter weight. I'm like, go lighter, re-record your form, send it back to me. Let's have a look. Slow it down. Slow the tempo down, focus on your form. The amount of people that are like, holy shit, it actually burns now. Perfect. Because it's not always about the weight. It's about the technique. It's about the execution. And if you can use lighter weights and you can feel it in the intended muscle and it fucking burns, that's You do realize that's progressive overload, right? It's not about adding more weight and more reps all the time if you're not getting the execution correct. Like, I don't know if you guys see, but I can Romanian deadlift pretty heavy. I can Romanian deadlift 160 kilos, right? People are like, oh wow, you can do 160 kilos. Firstly, I've been Romanian deadlifting for 3 years straight. I love Romanian deadlifting. Secondly, I didn't just start randomly at 160 fucking kilos. I Romanian deadlifted from 80 kilos, and over 3 years, I've slowly gotten better. But guess what I didn't do? I didn't just keep adding weight on the bar every week, every week, every week. I focused on technique. I focused on form. I had my coach, because I work with him, watch me, making me hip hinge, pushing my hips back, getting a bigger stretch of my hamstrings, bracing my core, doing the work to execute the technique properly to where now I can fucking lift heavy weight and have good technique and get a good burn. But I didn't do that at the expense of weight, right? Technique always comes first, okay? So feeling it in the intended muscle group. And then try and do the minimum amount required to grow muscle. Again, if you can get away with 13 sets for a muscle group, why would you not want to get away with doing 13 sets for a muscle group? If I could say I can train twice a week and I grow muscle like there's no tomorrow, how fucking good would that be? I would be bragging about that all the time, man, you know? Like, oh, what's your biggest problem? My biggest problem is putting on muscle because I put on muscle too quickly. First world fucking problem, you know? No, but we always think, oh, we have to do more, we have to do more. And because people like to think they have to, they do, you know? And it's like, again, learn execution first, try and get away with the least amount of possible, and avoid doing extra for the sake of it because, again, it becomes an overuse thing or an overall fatigue thing for the sake of fatiguing. Now, here's something even more crazy that you might not realize. The more you do, the more you have to do to keep up with that stimulus, right? If you keep pushing to 30 sets for an export glutes, let's say, where do you go from 30 sets? 32 sets? 35 sets? 40 sets? You might as well live in the gym. You might as well live in the fucking gym because think about how long that's going to take you in the gym every workout. Yet that's what we see people doing all the time. All the fucking time, man. It's like all these coaches giving these, especially comp preppers, all the fucking time doing all these things. And it's like, you're just throwing shit at a wall. You know, you're just throwing everything in the kitchen sink at the wall. And it's like, why? And the funniest part about this is, let's say you're someone who's listening to all this and you're like, oh yeah, but you know what? I'm on steroids. And so I need to, you know, I can push harder. This is the funny thing about steroids, right? So me being on testosterone replacement, I'm on a higher dose of testosterone replacement. So basically I take 1 mil of testosterone a week, which is higher than what it should be, okay? It should be about 0.5 mil. So I take like basically, you know, 1 mil compared to 0.5. So I have like my testosterone is over now compared to when it was under, right? For me, like for me, I'm not taking like a huge amount of steroids compared to what other people take, all right? But I grow quite well doing what I'm doing in order to gain muscle. And the funny thing about steroids is that it makes gaining muscle easier, not harder. You have a bigger work capacity, right? Which means you can actually push yourself further, but that doesn't mean you have to. Okay, you have a greater amount of ability to be able to recover, but that doesn't mean you have to push your point to the point where, you know, you're using extra steroids to help you recover. Okay, you also have a greater strength output from that too. So steroids do all these great things, right? People are like, oh well, you know, you still got to put in the work on steroids. You do, but you don't. All right, you do, but you don't, and that's the thing. People want to be in denial about this all the time. Oh, they just think I take steroids and that's all I need to do. For the most part, it kind of is. And we have proof of this because studies show we've given people steroids and they've sat on the couch and done nothing and gained muscle. Like, pardon me, they had two groups, okay? They gave a group of people steroids. They didn't give the other people steroids. The people who got steroids sat on the couch, did nothing. The people who didn't get steroids went and trained at the gym. The people who took steroids and sat on the couch gained more muscle than the people who went to the gym. How fucked is that? You know? So like, should you still train when you have steroids? Absolutely. But guess what? You have a higher chance of gaining muscle mass with even less work. So the whole, oh, but I take steroids, I have to do more. You don't have to do more. You get away with less. You can gain muscle more and less. Go and watch my training. Perfect example, you know, I take fucking testosterone steroids, and Anita, again, we're friends, Anita doesn't, right? Watch how hard Anita trains. Watch how hard any male who's natural trains compared to how hard I train. Like, I train hard, but I'm not fucking going to complete failure like these guys. I'm more jacked than most of these natural people. Why? Because steroids do that, right? And so it's like, you don't have to train, like you do, you put in the work, but you don't have to train as hard as someone who's actually natural trying to get the most out of it. So the whole steroid thing is like, oh, you know, like people just think I don't put in the work. You don't have to put in as much. So you don't need to do extra. You have better ability to recover. You have a better ability to be able to push yourself harder. Doesn't mean you need to do that stuff. So whether, again, like this just comes back to the fact where try and get away with the least amount of possible to gain muscle and to not ruin yourself, ideally. That would be the important thing to, I guess, take away here. So 13 to 25 sets per muscle group. Per workout, don't do more than 3 exercises for a muscle group. So if you want to train your chest, for example, bench press is one of them on a day. Incline bench press might be the second one, and cable flies might be your third. You don't need lower pec. You don't need also to do incline flies, flat flies, decline flies. Like, people who do this whole fucking I've got a chest day, it's stupid. The research does not support that. So don't do that dumb shit, all right? And again, we're just talking about what research shows, guys. Like, you know, it doesn't matter what the fucking Instagram fitfluencers do. It's what research shows. I'm still sipping on the smoothie. It's been like 35 minutes. It's getting warm. It sounds disgusting, but I just need to get it done, you know? So what I'm trying to do here is give you guys a bit of an understanding that you don't need to, like, the whole, like, you know, just understanding working out in general with weight training. Like, it's not what everyone makes it out to be, or like, it's not, I don't want to say it's not as hard as you think it has to be, but you don't have to go balls to the wall every training session. You don't have to do heaps of volume and spend hours in the gym. You don't have to try and be burning calories while you're working out. Like, all our goal should be when working out is to get stronger each week, ideally, you know, or to make progress, which again, improve your form, increase your weight, or increase the weight. Increase your reps or increase the weight. They're basically the things we want to do. Form comes first, then I would say work on increasing your reps, then I would say work on increasing the weight, you know, because that is a safe progressive overload model for years, ideally. Because again, this is a long-term thing. We don't want to be doing this for 5 years and then be fucked from injuries. One more mouthful, I'm done. Okay, cool. Thank you for bearing with me for that. So now, the last thing we're going to talk about with weight training. So we've talked about, obviously, the amount of sets per muscle group, the amount of sets per exercise, the amount of, what else was I saying here? Not using weight training to burn calories. I guess with that, with exercises for working out, if you can only go to the gym 3 times a week, do full body workouts. If you can only go to the gym 4 times a week, you can do full body workouts, or you can do upper, lower body, okay? We don't split our body parts into chest and tricep days, back and bicep days, shoulders and fucking, I don't know, glutes or some shit. You don't do that. You don't have a dedicated day for one particular muscle group, because frequency is important in weight training. And so 2 to 3 times a week per muscle group would be ideal versus once a week, okay? So think about that, right? If you're training 5 days a week, you can do 3 lower, 2 upper, 3 upper, 2 lower, or a push-pull split. What about 6 days? You don't need 6 days. What about 7 days? You definitely don't need 7 days, you know? Oh, but I see all these people. Yeah, you see all these people doing it, but again, they're just fucking spinning their wheels. It's like they're racing to see who can get the tiredest, basically, without fucking killing themselves. Who can exhaust themselves the most without ruining themselves, you know? Because again, like, we have research. Like, don't do this and do this. But because it looks cool for the Instagram with the background music of talking about dedication and they're working out and they're fucking doing their reps and, you know, you got to get up early, you got to want it, you got to push it hard, fucking blah, 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 you know, that workout motivation bullshit they put in the background. Like, it's just it's just for the gram. It's just for the gram, you know? So don't fall into that susceptibility with the weight training side of things and thinking you have to do more than you think, you know, at the end of the day. Anything else I need to talk about that? Oh, yes. Yeah, I guess one more thing. I don't know if you guys know what deloads are, but basically a deload is having a lighter week in order to help you recover, refresh, and get into a new training block. So every time you do like a training block, it's called a mesocycle, all right? So if you're a client of mine, you'll have a 6-week mesocycle or 6-week training block, you'll have a 6-week training block, which is one mesocycle. And each week the goal is to make it a little bit harder. So, you know, we never want to be going balls to the wall when we go to the gym. Every workout is not a fucking 10 out of 10. I'm telling you that right now, okay? You can go longer. You can go 8 weeks before a deload. You can probably go longer. If you're on steroids, you can go longer before a deload, okay? But and if you're someone who's a normal person and sometimes you miss the gym, pardon me, because of life and stuff like that, or you have week where you miss the gym, or you're supposed to train 4 days a week and you only train twice a week, don't worry about deloads, okay? This is for people who consistently go to the gym and show up, and let's say they train between 3 to 5 times a week, but they consistently go. You're not missing sessions, okay? If you're missing sessions, don't worry about this deload. You're basically deloading yourself when you miss a session. If you're someone who continuously shows up to the gym, you're not missing sessions, at some point, you're going to need a week that is called a lighter week or a deload. And basically, imagine like you're building a house, okay? So, you know, pardon me, sorry. You're putting bricks down, all right? Then you're obviously putting the cement down. You can't just keep stacking bricks on top of each other with wet cement because eventually it's going to get so high that it will fall over. You need to let the foundation settle, right? I really hope I'm talking about bricks correctly. So basically, let's say each brick is a week. So we're going to do 6 bricks up, okay? Then we need to let that, once we get to that brick number 6, we have to just let the wall sit and the cement dry in order to build up more bricks, okay? This is how we make progress in the gym. You don't just keep adding weights for the rest of your life because everyone's going to be lifting the fucking gym. If that was we'd all be doing the 50 kilo dumbbells for everything, right? But we don't do that. So for me, I'm just giving the analogy of 6 weeks because that's what I do. Every week you get a little bit harder, a little bit harder, a little bit harder. So like, this is what I tell my clients. Week 1 should be a 5 out of 10. Week 2 should be a 6 out of 10. Week 7 should be an 8 out of 10. Should be a 7 out of 10. Did I fuck that up? Week 1 should be a 5. Week 2 should be a 6. Week 3 should be a 7. Week 4 should be an 8. Week 5 should be a 9. Yeah, perfect. And then week 6 should be a 10 out of 10. Like, that last week before you have a break should be fucking pushing it hard. This is when you go to failure. This is when you train harder. This is when you really try and get all the numbers, you know? That last week, you should be like, holy fuck, I need a rest next week. That's what should be happening, okay? You don't go from week 1 making it an 8 out of 10. And then week 2, a 9 out of 10. Week 3, a 10 out of 10. Week 4, a 10 out of 10. Like, you don't just keep fucking redlining, okay? The engine will blow up. All right? So we start easier, get slightly harder each week. Harder. Push it really hard. Have that week as a rest where you take the weight back, usually about 70% of the week before. So if you're doing a 100 kilo bench press, you drop it down to 70 kilos, all right? It's gonna be a very light and easy week. You're probably gonna hate a deload week because they're quite boring. They're done in like 20 minutes, very easy to do. You reduce your volume, you reduce your training intensity, you make it an easy week, you focus on technique. Then you restart the program you're doing or you start a new program, whatever you wanna do. Pardon me. But a deload is important in order to help with reducing your injury too, right? Pardon me. In order to keep the gains you've just made to let your body recover, it's called supercompensation, and then you keep pushing it harder. A lot of people don't fucking deload. You should be having deloads. Again, only if you are someone who consistently can routinely go to the gym and you aren't missing days or missing weeks or anything like that. If you're a normal person and you miss weeks and shit here and there, you probably don't need a deload, to be honest, because you're already deloading yourself with those weeks off or those days off. But just thought I'd preempt that there so you guys get an idea about what a deload is. And that is your 45 minutes of your little workout education podcast. So, as always, if you guys enjoyed this, I would love for you to share this. I would love for you to tag me on Instagram, share it around, let me know what you thought. And yeah, if you guys have any questions on working out, you know where to find me at Tyson the Trainer with 2 R's on Instagram. And until next time, my friends, I will speak to you then.